right, let's begin the meeting for the Methuen Parks and Recreation Subcommittee, the Great Hall, Monday, June 8th, 2026 at 5 p.m. Let's start with a roll call. Councillor Valley.
Present.
Councillor McLaren.
Present.
Director Angelo.
Here.
Councillor Drew, here. All right. Acceptance of the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. On to public participation. We have one person up for public participation.
Good evening. Stephen Tarquinio, 64 Sycamore Road, Methuen, Mass. I've previously been up here talking about the noise at the pickleball courts. Tonight's topic, I'm going to be shifting a little bit more about recreation management in the city. All of you I provided with the packet with some material. You're welcome to follow along with it, but I'll just run through the information and you'll see where I'm getting at. March 19th, 2024, formal noise concern sent to Recreation Superintendent Steve Angelo after seeing the project plan from the Conservation Commission of the pickleball courts, raising the concern that there was going to be noise issues and asking what the plan was. March 21st, 2024, Mr. Angelo responds, acknowledging the email and ensuring the addition is going to be a great addition to the neighborhood. Over the past month, I've gone through Freedom of Information Act requests and researching how we got here and how this could have been avoided. And initially, the solicitor's office tried to withhold an email from me due to attorney-client privilege. And you can see that there, and you can see the email. And as I restated my request, they followed up and provided me a portion with a segment redacted. I don't know, knowingly or unknowingly, they also provided me with the email that actually had the redacted piece as a part of it. And what you can see as you read through it is that former solicitor Ken Rossetti in May of 24 was notified by the city of Falmouth, Massachusetts, that they were going through pickleball noise issues and that they were looking for help with ordinances that they were going to have to implement. And so former solicitor Rossetti sent this information, this email, to the Methuen Police Department, specifically addressed to Randy Hagar, Deputy Chief, who handles noise ordinances, as well as former Mayor Perry, former Solicitor Ferretra, Superintendent Angelo. So May of 24, we're on notice that we know there's noise issues in Falmouth, Mass. Related to pickleball, and Solicitor Rossetti gives the heads up and tells everybody to prepare because this is probably going to be an issue when we open the courts. And this project is completed. So then we jump ahead to May 31st of 2024. So we know it's a noise issue. We know Falmouth's put us on notice. I did a Freedom of Information Act request through the city of Falmouth to see if anybody from the city actually reached out to Falmouth to, I don't know, ask what's happening, what were they doing, how could we avoid this? No communications with Falmouth at all. So May 31st, you'll see a CAFO analysis in there. I talked about this at a previous council meeting, showing $300,000 of additional funding for cosmetics to the existing project that's already overrun, but nothing for sound. So we know from Falmouth there's a noise issue. We've known from the neighbors that there's a concern. Construction hadn't even started when that Falmouth notice came in, and yet we said, let's proceed. So courts open in the spring of 25, formal complaint sent to the mayor and Steve Angelo about the noise issues from the courts. And so in here you see an email from the Freedom of Information Act request from Superintendent Steve Angelo to the mayor saying the noise will definitely diminish after the vegetation grows back. Absolutely zero analysis and zero credibility to that statement. 100% false. May 6, 2025, confirmation to the mayor from Steve Angelo and Kevin Pelletier, former construction manager of Methuen, who has been let go since, that based on a sound study that was actually provided by the panel company, so not an actual true sound study, that only based on the fence dimensions that were sent to them, nothing about the environment, the houses, locations, anything like that, that the noise would be less than 70 dB. Well, 2 weeks ago, I had a noise analysis conducted at numerous properties on Sycamore Road, as well as at the pickleball courts themselves. And you can see it in pages of pictures and readings and photographs at the courts. And what's evident in just a small 10-second sample is that there are numerous violations of the city noise ordinance, with the noise spiking above 70 dB, even up to 90 dB at times. So again, in an email from the rec department to the mayor stating we've done this sound study and don't worry, we're not going to be of 70 dB, 100% false. And so what I'm getting at tonight in stating this, and my concerns for this Parks and Recs committee, is that our current superintendent of the Recreation Department has significant flaws when it comes to researching and properly executing projects. And the consequences of those, and you don't have them, Mr. Angelo, so they're in your material there, are the letters from the neighbors whose lives have been disrupted, whose quality of life every single day is destroyed as you listen to the sounds from that court. And Mr. Counselor Drew saw it firsthand in the beginning of May, standing in a driveway, on record at that next council meeting, and even at this Recs meeting, saying, I was there for 30 minutes and I couldn't get out of there fast enough. That noise is 8 hours a day. In addition, there's been numerous violations of hours. Even when we've tried to implement a plan this year, numerous violations of hours at the court because we don't have any way of enforcing it. So what we are doing to make everybody aware, and I'll highlight this tonight, is we're forcing the rec department to lock up the courts at night. Well, the rec department, when they do show up, shows up 30 minutes prior to closing, and they sit in their trucks with the engines idling, just waiting for the courts to close. We are going through a financial crisis in this city right now, and we are paying for people to sit in a truck and just wait to lock up a court with engines running, wasting gas at a time where gas prices are high. That is not the right way to spend taxpayers' money. Not when we're fighting for every job, for every teacher, for every police officer, for every firefighter in this city. And all of this is a result of incompetence and negligence by the Recreation Department. So as projects come before you to this committee, I strongly advise anything involving Superintendent Angelo's responsibilities be scrutinized. Bring in outside, subject matter expert, bring in advisors. This issue is disrupted the lives of numerous people in the city. And to this day, nothing has been done to fix it. Even today, from Friday, a proposal from the city to my attorney stating that our way of handling the noise was to strictly put noise mitigation paddles on only 3 courts, when all of the data I have shown you is any court within 350 feet does not have reasonable mitigation. And so even if you have those paddles on 3 courts, the other 3 courts are in complete line of sight to the house. Again, another demonstration that what we propose to spend taxpayer money on has no analysis or supporting data to say it's going to work. And why do we do this? To continue to delay because we don't want to shut the courts down. We know they're not going to do anything, but you want to get into this volley of us saying it's not going to do anything. Oh, we'll look into it. It's not going to do anything. This has gone on far long enough. Thank you for your time. Oh, read those letters tonight. Read those letters from each one of those neighbors and look at how you have impacted their lives. And it is going on every day.
Thank you. Yes. I was just about to ask, is there anybody else for public participation? Nope, no problem at all. Take your time.
Good evening, council members. My name's Ann DiBenedetto. I spoke last time. I was a PEC president. I was a teacher in Methuen for 35 years, and I was heavily involved in the insurance. Is it okay if I speak to you about this briefly?
This is the Parks and Recreation
Okay, so I'm
Subcommittee.
not going to speak on that. I'm going to come back.
I just don't want to. We'll have you here because we're our counselors, and we'll hear you again tonight.
I have
I'm sure.
something for you, and
You're
I'll
more than
speak
welcome to speak.
I do have something for you if you don't mind.
Yep, anytime.
To educate everybody, I found an article that was published in February of 2026 this year, and At the end of the article is a letter that I secured that was signed by 9 council people in Springfield, and I have copies of it. May I approach and just give somebody on the end? I'm very friendly.
Sure.
Anyway. I'll come back later and speak, but I was very involved. I have a lot of knowledge, over 20 years with the PEC, and I will speak later. If you have any questions, you can let me know, and I'll be quiet. Thank you. And there'll be another sheet for public participation in the other meeting.
For the full council meeting, yes. And I will make sure that these end up with all the other councilors
I
as well.
appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
Anyone else for public participation for the Parks and Rec Subcommittee? Not seeing anyone? We'll motion to close.
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes have it. All right, on to department update. Superintendent Steve Angelo, we will allow you to have the floor on a few items that we had on the agenda. Floor is yours.
All right, perfect. So for current priorities, constraints, seasonal plan, I just want to give quick updates on opening dates for a lot of things. Forest Lake will be opening up on Friday, June 26th this year. It will be fully staffed. It goes from 10 o'clock to 7 o'clock, 7 days a week. Playground program, which we run, which is a free program throughout the city that we run at the CGS, the Marsh, and Gill Avenue, will start on July 6th this year. That runs from 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock and is weather permitting. Capital projects, we are in the process right now of finalizing the outdoor fitness court over at Veterans Park. So we are also going to be adding additional netting over at the stadium. There's been people over at Rushton Ave have had some issues with lacrosse balls going and damaging property. So we're adding additional netting up there. It's been something we've been in the works to address that issue. For field facility scheduling updates, I spoke about this at the last meeting. I can pass this around. I put together a list of all the parks and playgrounds and who's responsible for overseeing them. I know, Councilor, you had questions about that. So I did kind of break it down to who has the oversight of the different facilities for each thing. The only difference is that the one off that's a little bit different is the Nevins Library. That Bicentennial Park, which is actually managed by the trustees of the library, but everything else is run either by DPW or the school department. For upcoming community enhancement events and programs, this Friday, June 12th, we'll be having a concert at Riverside Drive. It starts at 6 o'clock. We'll also be having kids' activities, and there's going to be a couple food trucks over there to enjoy. Next weekend is the Methuen 300 Festival at Nicholson Stadium. It's going to be a great event run by the Methuen 300 Committee. That is on Friday night and Saturday night. They're going to have live entertainment. I believe they're going to have like Dominican whips doing their dances. They were in the St. Patrick's Day Parade and did a great job. And they're also going to be the end cap of the event will be an outdoor movie behind Nicholson Stadium, which we're finalizing the movie this week. But there's going to be a lot. It's live entertainment. He's going to have 4 or 5 food trucks over there. The weekend's going to be filled with a lot of great stuff over there. And then it's free for Methuen residents. August 12th, we're going to be having another concert at the Riverside Drive Park. So that's going to be more of a food truck festival type setup. So we'll have kids' activities, but we're planning on having 5 or 6 food trucks there for that day as well. So we've never really done a food truck festival here in the city, so we're trying to add as many vendors as we possibly can for that. That is on, I think it was August 12th. It's the second Friday of August. And just to confirm, the fireworks here in Methuen are being held at the Loop, and those are going to be on July 11th this year, with the rain date being the following Saturday. That falls in line with what we've done in previous years with having the fireworks fall the Saturday after the 4th of July, with the 4th falling on a Saturday. 4th falling on a Saturday this year, it just falls back to the next weekend. Fall and summer programs, I talked about our playground program. We also have all of our summer rec programs that are registered for registration open online right now. So if anyone goes to MethuenRec.com, we have a whole bunch of different programs, whether it be art classes, Nerf classes, sports. We have archery. We have a whole bunch of different categories of activities that we're going to be running. And that is something that I urge the residents to go look at this, a little bit of everything for everyone. We actually just finished off a Annie performance, as we actually started running a theater program this year as well, so we're planning to bring that back this summer as well. And we really try to offer a diverse catalog of programs for everybody here in the city. And then we got the Stadium Locks by the lacrosse group. I have done the research on that, as in terms, especially for the bathrooms and that. I know I've talked to Mike about it, and that's something that will happen after July 1 when the budget renews, is because of budget limitations right now. It's not something we're going to be doing, right? But it's something we're going to look into doing down the road. That's all I got.
All right. Thank you for that update. Does councilors have any questions? No? All set? Councilor McLaren? Councilor Valley's all set? Director Angelo, just on stadium locks, you said we wouldn't be able to do something until after July 1st.
Correct.
Because of the FY freeze that we
Correct.
have. We have something picked out that I know we looked at it. I know we were here for the first meeting like 2 or 3 months ago. I told you we're going to figure something out, Mike, I promise. But you have something, I know we talked about crash bars, trying to figure something out for the bathroom doors, so we have different options.
We do have different options, and really it's about $700-800 a lock, I said, but it will be like a keypad entry that we can do on a timer. So we'll have them basically open and closing programmed to open when people are supposed to be there and close when people aren't supposed to be there.
Okay, and we're doing that specifically to the stadium. We could talk about maybe doing that as a whole program across different places later in the city if we think we may need to.
Correct, yeah, we talk about the other bathrooms at Veterans Park or over at Burnham Road and try to make it universal throughout all the different facilities. That's long-term, is it just from a funding standpoint, it's probably something we could do overnight, but it's something that we'd be able to do gradually as it in kind of sections.
Okay, that'd be great. All right, I think that covers most of it. Anybody have any other further questions? All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is stakeholder roundtables. This is the youth and sports organizations, football, baseball, lacrosse, soccer, hockey. If you want to come join us, you're more than welcome. We just have a conversation, see if there's anything you can, if you feel more comfortable standing at the podium, you're more than welcome to stay there, that's fine. But this is just more of a bring your concerns and we just kind of chat, so. Oh, don't be intimidated. So I guess we will start with each group. We'll start with Mr. Ruffini.
Thank you. So our season's wrapping up. It's been a very good season for us. All of our home games are complete. We still have a couple more weeks of practice. Our youth participate in the Mass Youth Lacrosse Jamboree out at Fort Devon. So we have the older kids, 5th through 8th grade, boys and girls participating this weekend. And then the following weekend is the younger kids, the K to 4th grade kids will participate, boys and girls. We have our annual general meeting June 17th at the Stadium Clubhouse. I'll be stepping down after 6 years of lacrosse president and almost 10 years coaching. And just want to thank Steve for his support. This year has been great. All of our home games have been great with his staff there, with Jay and Sarah, specifically from DPW. They've been a pleasure to work with over the years, and I'll miss working with them. They made our job easy on Sundays for our home games, so I just want to thank them. And I guess that's it. I did have a question on, I think it's coming up later, on the fees for using the fields. I don't want to hold that until after, or. Yeah, so I don't know if you're looking at just charging outside groups or if you're looking at charging youth groups for using the fields. I know we use the upper and lower turf Sundays during the spring season, and then the lower turf during the fall for our first stick program, introductory program. So that's still coming up this September. My feedback is it's a slippery slope. So every single net that is at the upper and lower turf, every single lacrosse net, was purchased by us. That's used by the high school. That's used by men's leagues that come in. That's used by anyone that rents the fields. We had to lock them up because people are using them for soccer, but any lacrosse organization that uses those uses our nets. And if we're going to have to start paying for the fields, and I mean, that's going to have an adverse effect on what we're doing. Are we going to let the high school and everyone else use the nets that we're paying for if we're paying for the field and kind of double dipping? So I think it's a slippery slope. We need to just look at the big picture and make sure that makes the most sense fiscally. Thank you.
I think we were just trying to have a discussion on what that'll look like, and I appreciate the feedback. It's something I don't think any of us would have maybe thought of, but Thank you for bringing that to us. So your season's wrapping up. Any issues or problems with any of our fields that we need to maybe look at addressing going forward? Things that we should be made aware of so we can try to preempt some
No, I
things?
mean, the turf's great. It's been good. We haven't had any issues with the lights this year. DPW, the rec department put the lights on timers for the upper turf. That's been great. We haven't had to go in there and turn lights on and off, so that's worked out really well. And I think we're looking forward to getting the lights on the lower turf if we get those this year.
Okay, so you had a pleasant experience on the turf.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Councilors, you have anything for Mr. Ruffini? All right. If you please introduce yourself and let us know.
Hi, I wrote a whole thing because my brain doesn't think linearly, so it's just easier to write it down and then read it.
Understood, that's why we do this.
why we
Trust
do
me, if we
this.
don't have this, we'll be scatterbrained.
So, my name is Kimberly McKenna, and I'm currently serving as the president of Methuen Youth Hockey Association. Since the early 1970s, Methuen Youth Hockey Association's mission has been to foster productive youth development in Methuen through the teaching and promotion of the game of hockey. MOHA utilizes the Methuen High School ice rink, which is owned and operated by the school committee, for practices beginning in late August and hopefully until late April if we enjoy a great playoff run. The challenges facing Methuen youth hockey mirror those confronting youth hockey organizations nationwide. Private hockey organizations have increasingly expanded into communities with publicly owned rinks, while declining participation rates and limited ice availability have placed significant pressure on community-based programs. As operating costs continue to rise, many local youth hockey organizations across the country have been forced to reduce programming or cease operations altogether. And this is actually something that the federal government has been looking into. Is there a law or something that we can act to address this growing concern across youth sports? According to a 2024 parent survey conducted by the Aspen Institute, the cost of youth sports increased 46% between 2019 and 2024. Methuen Youth Hockey works diligently to minimize financial barriers to participation by maintaining the lowest registration fee across all of the Merrimack Valley. This is to offset equipment costs, which for some of our younger players to get on the ice safely, $300 helmet, pad, skates, and those are the youngest players. Once, my son is in a growth spurt, so every year it is a new set of skates. It is a new set of head to toe, entirely new, everything. Despite this efforts, the financial commitment required to enter the sport of hockey remains a significant obstacle for many families in our community. And also because our costs are high to incorporate things like ice and programming, we are not eligible for certain grants or scholarships because that is usually like your participation fee has to be under $300. That is not feasible for our organization, so we don't qualify for those certain grants. After several years of post-pandemic growth, Methuen Youth Hockey experienced a decline in enrollment this season, resulting in our inability to field a U14 Bantam team for the first time in recent memory. While this development was disappointing for our organization and the broader hockey community, we remain optimistic about the future. Our Learn to Skate program has reached capacity in each of the past 2 seasons, demonstrating strong interest among younger participants and their families. In addition, we successfully rostered both a 1 and 2 team at our U8, U10, and U12 levels this year for the upcoming season. We are encouraged that increased participation among our younger age groups will position the organization for strong growth and that this season's enrollment decline will prove to be a temporary setback rather than a long-term trend. I do want to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to the Recreation Committee and its staff for their ongoing support of Methuen Youth Hockey Association. Our participation in the Santa Parade is an important tradition for our younger members, and I look forward to that every year. And one year we'll make it to the end of the parade with candy still, but has not happened. It's usually like right around the corner, all the candy's gone. It's no coincidence that the years in which we promoted our Learn to Skate and development programs at Methuen Day were also the years that those programs reached capacity. The Recreation Committee's continued inclusion of MYHA announcements, including registration, opportunities, tryouts, and program updates in the community newsletter and on its social media platforms, provide valuable visibility that would otherwise be difficult for us to achieve. Every month or so, I send off to Candace an entire block of text, and then it becomes this amazing little 2x4 block that is just perfect. It has exactly what we need, and that reaches the whole community, which is great. Additionally, the department's sponsorship of community initiatives such as the Open Skate Lessons, Skate with a Cop, and the Skate and Read program helps introduce new families to skating while providing current participants in our program with additional opportunities to develop the skills. The Recreations Department's partnership and support play an important role in strengthening our organization and expanding access to skating opportunities through the Methuen community. While Methuen Youth Hockey does not utilize any of the, I'm going to call them properties, owned by this department, there are many ways in which this department provides support to our organization. Where do we need support? Unlike many youth sports organizations that utilize parks and playgrounds managed by the Recreation Committee, Methuen Youth Hockey relies on the high school rink, which is owned and maintained by the Methuen Public Schools. So you were just talking about field fees to be used to utilize. That is something that we are already paying to the school department. Understandably, we are using an ice rink where there's support costs, there's the Zamboni, there's a lot of infrastructure there and dedicated staff to support that. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't, I'm just saying that that is one of the differences that we have versus several other organizations. The school department's primary mission is to provide educational services to the students of Methuen, and its capital investments must be prioritized accordingly. As a result, when competing needs arise, critical education and facility-wide projects will understandably take precedence over recreational facility enhancements. If we have to fix the boiler at the Marsh Grammar School because there's a disruption to the school where they were unable to have school one day, that is obviously going to take higher precedence over replacing the aging board infrastructure. Like, that is just common sense. It's what's going to happen. But as a result, when the Recreations Department's capital planning process includes funding for the renovation and improvement of recreational assets, investment in the ice rink is largely focused on maintaining current operations and repairs as they occur. There is no line item in the budget for upgrades to the rink. There is no line item for improvements. It is keep it running. That, and again, that is because of the challenges with the school department budget. And we need to make sure that we have enough teachers for our kids. The rink is used, as part of PE classes. It is used for the boys hockey team and also the state championship girls hockey team. But regarding the entire infrastructure of the schools department and the education it provides, the rink is not obviously a large part of that. So the percentage makes sense for, where it is funded and the financial support comes from. So the results of this is an inequity in how recreational assets are supported across the community. If Methuen is committed to providing diverse recreational opportunities for the residents of all ages, the ice rink should be viewed and funded as a community recreational asset in addition to its role as a school facility. Establishing a pathway for long-term capital investments in the rink would help ensure future generations of Methuen residents continue to have access to affordable community-based skating and hockey programs. The long-term success of community-based hockey programs depends on the continued public investment in accessible and locally operated facilities. As private organizations continue to expand into new markets and the cost of participation continues to rise, publicly supported resources such as the Methuen High School ice rink play a critical role in ensuring that local families have access to affordable recreational activities. Equally important in this partnership with the Recreation Committee, whose efforts to introduce children to skating and promote youth hockey programs help cultivate the next generation of participants in our program. Together, these community assets can provide a strong foundation for continued growth, success of Methuen Youth Hockey for years to come. That's it. Just kidding.
Thank you very much, Ms. McKenna.
Thanks.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. McKenna? Nope. Nope. You said you had no U14 team, and you said that Candace does your ads. If you could email us, counselors, on this, I believe we could share it to our social media pages as well.
Okay.
We're happy to help you get the word out for, when you guys are registering, things like that. We're happy to help with that also.
Okay. Yeah, we do open our registration during usually the January, February, March.
Okay.
We try to have tryouts right after the hockey season finishes. A lot of times, if you're not on the ice for several weeks or all summer, kind of get back on the ice, and you're like, oh, I've forgotten how ice skating works. So that isn't usually in March, but I will make sure to do that and get
Perfect.
that
I'll
information
make
out.
sure you get our emails before you leave here.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah.
Email us anything if there's a blurb you need us to put up, or if
Yep.
you're running a clinic or anything like that. We're happy to
Yeah.
help and support that.
And we are opening registration for our Learn to Skate, which starts a little bit later, starts in October for younger kids. Should be opening that this month, so I can make sure to get that to you guys.
I'd love to hear that. My daughter's 4, so she might
Well,
even be that
there you go.
age demographic that you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I try to remember when it starts, but yeah.
So as for you specified, the rink is a school asset, so we can only have so much oversight with the DPW and so forth. But, we do hear that, and we understand that it needs to be upgraded, because we want to keep people coming to the rink. We want to see it stay a nicer rink and make it better. So do you have any other issues with the rink, or, I heard you have maybe some aging boards that you wanted to
Yeah,
address?
I don't have the exact dates, but the rink boards are made of like the glass that you see in the dasher board system, which is below that. There are certain boards, glass, that you cannot see through. I will say that the gentleman who manages the rink does an amazing job with what he has. That ice is some of the best ice in all of the area. We will hear that rink is open on the weekends. Saturdays it opens at 7:40 a.m., I believe. We'll run all the way till 8 p.m. People are in and out of there all day. Same for Sundays. Sundays it does finish a little bit early, usually around 5, but game after game after game. And the amount of people that I hear that are not from Methuen talking about the quality of the ice that we have it's amazing. So,
That's good to hear.
yeah, that is one of the great things. That being said, everything around the boards is in serious need of an upgrade. And we have tried working with the school department, but again, understandably, do we remove asbestos from the chimney or do we replace the boards? Like, you're going to remove asbestos every single time, as you should. It's difficult to find a way to prioritize the boards. The glass at this point, the issue is that we keep replacing them. I say we, I'm not doing any of this. The staff replaces the boards one by one as they can because I believe the infrastructure that supports those boards will not handle, it cannot support the strength of if we had to put in a replacement system. The improvements alone in board systems with concussions, to withstand impact, has gone such a long way. It's funny, I did not watch the Karen retrial at all, but there was testimony about Zdeno Chara had a hit that he had and the changes that drove in the industry for dasher boards. And it's just so interesting to hear about all that and the things, the youth of Methuen is skating on that rink. It is not dangerous. It is a case of, the improvements that we see in Nicholson Field. We are maintaining, making sure that it's not getting worse as much as we can. But, yeah, most of it just is in need of replacement.
I'll take a to-do on it to reach out to the school department and kind of see what they've looked at and so forth, and I will certainly follow back up with you on what their status of boards, maybe an update on those in a capital expenditure platform, maybe, because CapEx is different than when you have a...
Oh, yeah, that is my side hustle. I work at RTX, and
Right.
we color money in CapEx versus expense versus...
Exactly. So
Yep.
I'll follow that up, and I'll put that as my to-do. So, all right. Anybody else have any other questions for either president of the respective organizations that joined us this evening? No? You're more than welcome to stay here when we discuss anything further. If you'd like to go
gonna go
back
that
out to the audience, you're more than welcome. All right. So we'll move on to old business. We'll get into the Island Adoption Program, request of Councilor Valley. This is more of a follow-up from the previous meeting. Councilor Valley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I have a couple of business owners interested in the island adoption. And there's a specific one that we can't locate that is between Home Shop and the post office. I know the business owner was in contact with Michelle from the mayor's office, so I need to follow up on that. But I drove by, she drove by, we can't find it.
Interesting. I will, when I leave here tonight, I'll go by and see if I can go,
Yeah,
because
let
it's
me
on
know.
28, right there.
It's on 28, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well,
So let me know if you can
Councilor
find it.
Leclerc, do you have?
Just clarifying, just the island we can't
The
find,
island.
but the business is interested in it. We just,
Adopting the island, yes.
Okay, we just haven't seen it.
We can find it.
Interesting. Well, I'll also drive by.
All right.
Yeah, it says between Home Shop, but Home Shop doesn't exist anymore, and the post office. There's like a health company there on that corner. So if you can find it, just let me know.
It might be midnight by the time we go looking tonight, so I may not see it. So maybe it'll be in the morning. There are still, for anybody at home watching, there are still islands that are available to rent. Not rent, but to adopt and help to beautify our city. And we're happy, anybody who needs interest in adopting, please reach out to either Councilor Valley or straight to the mayor's office with Michelle Amber, who handles that program. Next one, we have field usage fees. Councilor Drew. This was a discussion with Director Angelo. I know you had said the ordinance that we had was kind of antiquated at the time, was kind of a weird, said $200 for adult usage. By no means is the field usage something that we want to hinder any child from ever doing anything in a capacity to hurt any group. I have young children, Mike, you know that. You know, I love youth sports. That's actually where I first met Mike 20 years ago. And I want to make sure the kids are still able to do it, but we have to look at all things in this city right now where we are in such a way. And I don't think any excessive fees should ever be implemented back on it. So this is the conversation more on how do we offset maybe some costs that are hitting during those times, right? Like we have some people that do have to go stand down there during a season, and maybe that is an offset cost that we have to figure out. Maybe it's a per pupil with a max cap rate. We don't know. And I think Superintendent Angelo had a chance to look at something. I don't know if you and Councilor Valley had a chance. You want to take a moment to...
No, I know Council Valley had done the research, and we worked with Lisa in her offices in terms of pulling what the ordinance was. It's very vague. It's not really specific to how the fields and rentals actually operate here in the city. I believe that ordinance went into place was over 20-something years ago. So I really think it should be looked at and having that amended to reflect kind of what the common practice is within the department when we do use for field rentals. As of right now, we do not charge our youth organizations to use the fields. I don't think that that's been a topic of conversation that I've had in terms of looking into doing that, but I do think with outside groups, we should have this ordinance in place to be able to, when we do charge, there is an ordinance in place to back it up. So what I did do was put together kind of like a mock fee schedule, I said, for the different facilities. I do have a spreadsheet that I've worked off of in the past with different communities and what they charge, whether they charge youth groups or... And working on, and really where it comes down to, it's not apples to apples, you know, different fields, different organizations, different communities, everyone kind of has their own thing. And really we have to find out what works best here in Methuen. I want to work with this committee to kind of establish that and put it on record so we do have a set, transparent fee schedule that we utilize. So when people come to utilize the fields, everything is across the board, everyone knows what those fees are. And these are just some proposed, I said, this is going to be an ongoing conversation, ongoing document. I think that we'll work with Councilor Valley on, as to put this into record to actually have it established.
I have a question. Mr. Chair.
Councilor Valley.
Regarding the Forest Lake, 100 per group per day, like a group of how many people? 5, 10, 15?
And
Did you
really,
say per
that
group?
is, these are all kind of bases, like the ones that I work and document with Forest Lake. If it was a group, they would be charged $10 a car. But if it was like an outside group that wanted you to, like, say, like for a birthday party and have a certain area reserved, we would set that fee.
Okay.
Feels that, Councilor? Councilor McLaren.
I just wanted to speak to the question of if we would be charging city community-based programs in the same way. I think that this makes a lot of sense to update the ordinance regarding outside programs, but I think that our existing programs, like for example, our lacrosse team, our hockey team who are represented today, they already sort of bear the burden of the maybe not literal cost, sometimes literal cost, but the cost of the time of the coaches and the students. I was that student on the team once who had to clean up after practice to make sure it looked like how we found it. I mean, that feels like doing their part enough. And I appreciate this in terms of revenue generation, but I think it makes a lot more sense to charge people who are coming into our city to use our city resources, and less sense to charge those people that are already paying to participate in sports in our city, from our city. I hope that makes sense, but that's kind of my take. Thank you.
Okay.
And Councilor, I think we do definitely fall in line as and agree on that. I see this more for outside rentals than it is for actual internal operations. As part of this ordinance as well, I think it would be good for this committee to establish what groups do have those fees waived. So it's not a set group of, okay, this group has to pay, this group doesn't. I think that this committee should come up and say, Bethune Youth Lacrosse, and make a list of the people who are exempt from these fees. So that gives them the establishment and the backup to say that they know what they're going to be walking into and they're not going to be charged.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, well, thank you for doing this, Superintendent Angelo and Councilor Valley. I think we have to work on the ordinance still, right, of getting this implemented, updating what is actually on record, and then figuring out what that framework looks like with the exemptions to certain groups amongst the city youth sports. So I don't know if that's something we can work on, maybe have a framework over the next month before we meet again in July.
And Councilor Valley, if you wouldn't mind, maybe we can have a conversation after this meeting or later on this week and find a time to sit down and go over it.
Yes, I agree. Yep.
Thank you. So we have that to do for the next meeting. And we will move on to, anything, Mr. Ruffini? You're good? All right. Figured I'd ask to include you while you're at the table. The next item we have is Garden Club. This is again requested by Councilor Drew. This is more of a follow-up from our previous meeting, just to kind of, I know Councilor McLaren had a to-do from that meeting on building a Google Doc for us to implement out into the public for people if they have interest wanting to be involved. If you want to just kind of align us with what you've gotten to that point.
Yeah, thank you. So pretty simple, straightforward. Just created a list of questions, information points that we are going to need from people who are interested in participating in the garden club. I forwarded that information to our superintendent, and I believe you sent that off to IT so that they can develop a form to go through the website for the convenience of people who are interested.
Perfect.
And I'm still waiting to hear back. I can follow up with them tomorrow. I said
appreciate
to see the status update because I think that was about a week ago. It might be even longer ago than that, so I'll follow up with them.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Valley, anything on this item? If anybody is interested in joining the garden club who may be listening, and you don't see it on the website right now, please just send us an email. The Recreations Department, they'll happily put us in contact, or my email is jdrew@methuen.gov. Everybody's email is their first initial, their first name, along with their last name at methuen.gov. All right, we will move on to new business. Downtown volleyball court, requested by Councilor Drew and Director Angelo. Would you like to start, or would you like me to take this one?
I can take it. So last week, as I had spoken with Councilor DeZoglio and Councilor Drew, and there is a recreational area downtown. It's over by Freeman Fuel. It's a grassy area next to the parking lot over there. And they had a vision and an idea to add a volleyball court over there. So I met with conservation, because the Spigot River is right over there, to make sure that it was something that was feasible with the proximity. He did give his blessing to put a volleyball net on that land, as long as it's not getting developed more than just the installation of the net. As in, that would be something that we would paint and maintain as part of our normal field maintenance schedule. So that is something that I know the mayor has been supportive of. So it's a project that I will be working on in the next couple of weeks. I would like to have that project done and procured before July 1st, so that their funding is available for the net. So I priced out a couple different options, and that's something that we'll be doing relatively quickly, as in terms of before the end of the fiscal year.
Thank you. So I had met with Councilor DiZoglio. We were walking downtown looking at a few things, and we noticed this beautiful, flat, grassy area that was just seemed very underutilized. And I'd heard from a couple of residents that there was nowhere for kids to be able to play volleyball. So that's what kind of pushed this. It kind of got that ball rolling. And of course, Councilor DiZoglio and I reached out to Director Angelo and did what we could to try to work this out. The mayor, again, is in support of this. And I appreciate Director Angelo doing the research on it. And I'd love to see this get pushed through. I don't know if we have to do any sort of, there's no ordinance or anything that we need to put in place. I don't believe. This is just the utilization of one of our fields.
Correct, because it's already a recreational area. There's no ordinance or anything. We can just put it in.
Perfect. All right. Councilor Valley?
Yes, Mr. Chair. What is the exact location?
So if you go down, you know where the fire station is at the Five Corners, coming back towards Libondor, you know Freeman Oil that's there. If you go behind Freeman Oil, there's like a municipal parking lot. There's a big grassy area right there. And that was where we just looked, and it just seems very underutilized. And we maintain it. It's a beautiful area.
Do we have residents in the surrounding?
It's a lot of
Like
commercial business.
residential or commercial?
There's I think we're on the back of the house.
There's a couple residents on the back end of the
Two or
property,
three
but it's more commercial with Freeman
I
Field next
just
to it.
don't want to see like the same situation with the pickleball in case we have residential area there and, you know, noise and all that.
Okay. Could certainly reach out to those people. All right. Any other questions on this item? Councilor Valley? No. All right. On to the next item is skate park feasibility. This was brought to the council by myself. The reason I brought this up was I had a high school student reach out to me requesting that the city look at a skate park. And he was very apologetic for calling me about bothering me as a high school student, and I told him that is not, by all means, we want to hear that. So told him what he would need to do, how we'd have to look at it. I don't know what a great placement would be for this. Obviously, there's going to have to be studies done to make sure that we don't have any impacts to people. And I don't know what all the costs are, but I wanted to at least put it in front of this committee that there isn't an interest. And I did believe he put together a petition for a skate park, and I think he had over 250 people sign. So I love to see the youth getting involved in our government and being helpful in trying to make something happen and the change that they want to see. So just wanted to put this on there. I don't know, Director Angelo, if you have any ideas on what a skate park would cost or even a possible, location, but obviously none of this is very in its infancy of any sort of conversations.
And it's something I haven't researched, but it's something I can do and to reach out to other communities to see what they've done in other communities for development of this, but I've never actually been part of the skate park project, so I wouldn't know, but I can do some research on it.
Okay, great. Does anybody else have any questions on that? No? All right, relatively light agenda this evening. So we will look at assignments for the next meeting. Do we have any? You have one for the next meeting, and I will reach out to the school department about the boards. Counselor Valley is going to work with Director Angelo on the fee schedule and an ordinance to adjust that. And then we will look at the next meeting. I think our next council meeting, when is that? Do we know?
I'm going to check.
Is it July 6th?
July 6th?
Who picked that? Sorry. If it's July 6th, I would think we would try to put together the next Parks meeting on July 6th.
So, Council, I will not be here on July 6th.
Okay, I mean, you're gone that week?
I am out of the office till that Wednesday.
Till that Wednesday?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know how the council feels about a Parks meeting any other week. I'd like to make sure Superintendent Angelo is here with us.
I will be traveling after the meeting,
Okay.
after the city council meeting.
How, are you traveling for
Overseas.
a significant portion through July?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we can push this into August?
It's going to be August 3rd. August 3rd.
I will be away that week. So
Oh.
why don't we take this offline and try to figure out our summer schedules, and we'll go from there. But we will get something on the docket, whether that's maybe at the end of June, just before the holiday. Maybe we can do something then. We'll have that conversation and put that out in the public. So anybody else have anything else for new business that you'd like to discuss? Councilor Valley? Councilor McLaren?
I just
Superintendent
need to
Angelo?
locate the islands.
He's got to locate the island. Superintendent Angelo? Nope. All right, in that case, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. We are closed at 5:55 here at the Great Hall.